Today, we're diving into, well, one of the most high-stakes periods in anyone's professional life.
Yeah.
The transition.
Yeah, that moment you step into something new.
Exactly. Whether it's a big promotions, a lateral move, maybe even a whole new company, you've basically got this 90-day window. And honestly, it often decides if you sink or swim.
And that 90 days, it's not just some random number. There's a real psychological and operational crunch happening there. The choices you make, really, in that short sprint, they can set your path for years.
So the pressure's real.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And the framework we're digging into today comes mainly from Michael Watkins' book, The First 90 Days. You know, the economist called it the Onboarding Bible.
Right, the Onboarding Bible. So our mission today, for you listening, is to pull out the really practical stuff, the proven strategies to help you navigate these big career shifts faster and, well, smarter.
We want you to feel genuinely competent in managing these transitions.
See, let's face it, these changes aren't rare anymore, are they? They're kind of the norm now.
Oh, definitely. The data really backs that up. Today's professional world moves fast. Leaders, on average, face something like 13 or 14 major transitions in their career.
Wow, 13 and a half?
Yeah, which works out to, what, maybe one every year and a half, give or take?
So pretty much constantly adapting.
Exactly. You're always having to reset, learn a new setup, prove your value again. Mastering transitions, it's not nice to have. It's fundamental for moving forward.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The main goal in those first 3 months, it's not just about, making it to day 91. It's about hitting this key milestone Watkins calls the break-even point.
That's the core objective, yeah, the break-even point. Think of it as the exact moment when you've finally contributed as much value back to the organization as you've, well, consumed from it.
Consumed in terms of resources, people's time, energy.
All of it. Until you hit that point, no matter what your job title is, you're technically a net drain on the system.
Okay, that explains the underlying anxiety then. It's like you're walking around with this invisible IOU.
Pretty much. And everyone's watching you closely in those first few months. Opinions get formed incredibly quickly.
And they stick, right?
Yeah.
Hard to change those first impressions.
Very hard. But if you start well, you can kickstart this positive feedback loop.
A virtuous cycle.
Exactly, a virtuous cycle. Good early decisions build credibility. That credibility buys you the space and goodwill to learn more effectively, more strategically.
Which lets you score some early wins, build alliances.
Right. It feeds itself in a good way. It's the momentum you need.
But the flip side, that vicious cycle, that's what happens when we stumble early on. How does that spiral start?
Well, the vicious cycle often kicks off subtly. It usually starts with not learning enough about the new situation, the context,
Okay.
that lack of understanding. It leads pretty directly to bad decisions, maybe decisions that just don't fit the culture or the political realities.
And those mistakes chip away at your credibility.
Instantly. And once your credibility is damaged, people start to resist. Peers, your own team. They might subtly block you, maybe withhold information.
So that feeds right back into the first problem, not learning enough.
Precisely. You end up spending those crucial first 90 days basically digging yourself into a hole instead of climbing the learning curve.
Okay, so those early steps are absolutely critical. If the whole thing can unravel from one mistake, we need to know what those common transition traps are. Watkins identifies quite a few, right?
He does. And they often feel like the right thing to do because they're based on what made you successful before.
The irony.
Exactly. The first big trap, and maybe the most common, is sticking with what you know.
Just doing the same things that worked in the last job.
Right. You assume, hey, this worked there, it'll work here. But the new role might demand totally different skills. You might actually need to let go of old strengths and learn new ways to influence or manage.
That sounds like leaning on comfort instead of getting curious. But with that break-even pressure you mentioned, people must feel like they have to do something, anything, right away.
Oh, absolutely. Which brings us neatly to the second trap, falling prey to the action imperative.
The need to act now.
Yeah, this internal drive to take charge, make your mark quickly. It feels proactive, like you're showing initiative. But moving too fast, maybe pushing a big reorganization in week 3.
Before you really know what's going on.
Exactly. It shuts down the learning process completely, and it often stirs up resistance before you've even earned the credibility to make those changes stick.
So, okay, how do you handle that? The pressure to deliver results versus the need to be patient and actually learn.
Well, the leaders who navigate this well see the early phase less as a race to implement and more as a race to learn.
Got it. Learn first, then act.
Right. And if you fall for that action imperative, you often stumble into the third trap too, attempting to do too much.
Spreading yourself too thin.
Yeah. Launching 5 major initiatives at once. It just confuses people, stretches resources, and means nothing really gets the focus it needs to succeed.
And closely linked to that, I imagine, is the trap of just assuming you know best. Coming in with the answer.
Oh, definitely. Big one. You jump to conclusions about the problems, the solutions, without really listening or understanding the history.
And that just alienates everyone who's been working on those issues.
Completely. You miss the chance to build shared ownership because you haven't respected the context or, frankly, the work that's already been done.
Okay, and the last trap Watkins highlights, it seems to connect back to that root cause of the vicious cycle, the quality of the learning itself.
It does. It's engaging in the wrong type of learning. New leaders almost always focus heavily on the technical side. The products, the markets, the technology, the strategy documents.
The hard stuff.
The tangible stuff, yeah. But they often neglect the softer but equally critical cultural and political dimensions. They fail to understand the shadow organization.
Hold on, the shadow organization. Tell me more about that. What exactly is it? Say, like, who really calls the shots versus the org chart?
That's a perfect way to put it. The shadow organization is basically the map of how things actually get done. It's the informal networks, the alliances, the hidden processes, the key influencers who might not have the big titles but hold significant sway.
Okay.
If you don't understand who the real gatekeepers are, who needs to be on board for something to happen, even the best strategic decision can just die on the vine because it fails politically or culturally.
It's like knowing the official rules versus knowing how the game is really played on the ground.
Precisely. It's knowing the referees, not just the rule book.
That's huge. And understanding that shadow organization, well, it requires a real mental shift away from your old role, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which leads us to the first core principle from Watkins. Prepare yourself.
Yeah, making that transition successfully really demands a conscious mental break. You have to let go of the old job's mindset and embrace what the new situation requires. There's a great case study Watkins uses, Julia Gould.
Right, Julia Gould.
Mm-hmm.
She got promoted to lead a big cross-functional project, right? How did her past success end up hurting her?
Well, her background was in marketing, where she was known for her incredible attention to detail. She managed her team with direct authority. Very hands-on.
Okay.
But in the new cross-functional role, she had engineers, finance people, folks who didn't report directly to her. She needed to lead by influence.
But she kept doing what she knew.
Exactly. She kept trying to micromanage the details, make every call herself, acting like she had direct authority. She completely alienated the team members whose cooperation was essential. The project just ground to a halt.
So she didn't scale her leadership style. She clung to strengths like being the expert, having the final say that actually became weaknesses in the new context.
It's a classic example of failing to let go of the past. And that preparation looks different depending on how you're transitioning. For instance, if you get a promotion.
Things change significantly.
Right. The first thing is delegation.
Yeah.
What you delegate and how has to scale dramatically.
Yeah, I can see that. Managing 5 people versus, say, leading a division of 5,000.
Yeah.
You can't be involved in the same way. You're not delegating tasks anymore. Your reports might be running entire business units.
Correct. Your job shifts from doing or overseeing the details to focusing on strategy, synthesis, setting direction. And you also have to get used to way more scrutiny.
Everything you say and do is amplified.
Hugely. Communication needs to be more formal, more considered. Your words just carry much more weight. Now compare that to onboarding as an outsider.
Coming in from a different company.
Yeah. Your challenge there is super rapid cultural learning. You almost have to be like an anthropologist, figuring out this new tribe.
Because you have no existing network, no built-in credibility.
None. So making those stakeholder connections really fast is absolutely vital.
And to manage all that complexity, regardless of the transition type, you really need to think about your support system, right? Watkins talks about reworking your network.
Absolutely essential. As you move up or move into new areas, the kind of advice you need changes dramatically. You have to consciously shift from relying mainly on your technical advisors, the subject matter experts,
to actively cultivating political counselors, people who can help you decode that shadow organization, understand the power dynamics.
Exactly. And just as importantly, you need personal advisors, people outside the immediate fray who can help you keep perspective, manage the stress, and just stay grounded.
That makes sense. Okay, so we've covered preparing yourself mentally, understanding the traps. Let's move to the second big principle. Accelerate your learning.
Right. Because the whole point of this intense 90-day focus is really to shorten that period where you're vulnerable, where you're still that net drain we talked about. You need to climb the learning curve fast.
And what's the goal of that learning? What are we actually aiming for? It's not just collecting facts, is it?
No, definitely not. The goal is actionable insight. It's knowledge that actually helps you make better decisions, decisions that fit the context and make them sooner.
And the flip side, failing to get that insight, that's where people like Chris Hadley run into trouble.
Yes. Chris Hadley at Phoenix Systems, a classic example.
He came in as a quality assurance head at a struggling software company, expecting a quick fix, right? What went wrong there?
Hadley came in absolutely convinced he had the answer. He'd come from a super successful company, Dura, and he just assumed he could plug and play Dura's processes into Phoenix.
Without really understanding Phoenix's situation first.
Exactly. He didn't dig into why things were the way they were. He missed the fact that senior management at Phoenix had been systematically underinvesting in QA for years. So he pushed through a big restructuring based on the Dura model. Productivity tanked. He alienated absolutely everyone because he hadn't earned any trust or shown any understanding of their reality or their past efforts. He basically imposed a solution without any social capital or real insight.
So was the Dura model itself necessarily bad, or was the way he did it the problem? The lack of context, the lack of buy-in?
It was really both. The model probably wasn't the right fit for Phoenix's current state, and the timing, the imposition. It showed a total lack of respect for the team and their history.
Okay, so instead of imposing answers, you need to treat learning like a structured process. Watkins talks about setting a learning agenda.
Yes, manage it like an investment. Start by figuring out what you need to know. Define your key questions about the past, the present, the future of the organization.
And make sure that learning covers all the bases, not just the technical stuff we mentioned earlier.
Absolutely critical. You need the technical markets, products, strategy, yes. But you have to be just as aggressive, maybe even more so, in learning the interpersonal understanding, your boss's style, your peers' agendas, your team's dynamics.
And the cultural.
The norms, the values, what behaviors really get rewarded or punished. And of course, the political, actively mapping that shadow organization.
Right. Getting the full picture. Now, that sounds like a lot to absorb quickly. How do you do it efficiently? Watkins suggests a pretty specific method, especially for getting insights from your direct reports, doesn't he?
He does. For speed and depth, shift away from big formal group meetings early on where people might hold back. Focus on structured one-on-one conversations.
Okay.
And here's the key. Use a consistent script. Ask every single direct report the same set of, say, 5 core questions.
What you mean example?
Sure. Questions like, what are the biggest challenges this team or organization faces? Why do you think those challenges exist? What are the most promising untapped opportunities? What would you need from me in the first few months? If you were me, what would you focus on?
Okay. And the real power isn't just in the individual answers, but in comparing them across the team.
Exactly. That consistency is gold. You look for where the answers align, that points to consensus, but you also look closely at where they differ. That reveals disagreements, hidden tensions, maybe team dynamics, even who's being more candid.
So it helps you quickly form and test hypotheses about what's really going on.
Precisely. It generates that actionable insight much faster. And remember, your sources can't just be internal. Talk to customers, talk to suppliers, find those internal people who are integrators or historians, the ones who really know how the pieces fit together across different departments.
Right. Triangulate the information. Okay, so we've hit on understanding the traps, the crucial mental prep, and how to accelerate learning across all those domains. That feels like the foundation.
It absolutely is. But all that learning has to feed into your strategy. And the crucial point here is that not all transitions are the same. The situation you inherit dictates the strategy you need.
Which leads to the next layer. Watkins adds the STARS framework.
Right. STARS is an acronym that helps you diagnose the business situation you're walking into. It stands for the 5 common scenarios: startup, turnaround, accelerated growth, realignment, and sustaining success.
And knowing which one you're in is critical because the playbook is totally different for each, isn't it? Can you maybe quickly contrast 2 that sound like they might overlap but require different approaches? Like turnaround versus realignment.
Good examples. They can seem similar, both involve fixing problems, but they're fundamentally different. A turnaround situation is usually a crisis. It's a burning platform. The organization is failing, maybe losing money fast. It demands drastic action, often deep cuts, rapid changes, a much more directive command and control style leadership, at least initially.
Okay, urgent surgery needed.
Exactly. Whereas a realignment situation, the organization might still look successful on the surface, but there are growing problems, maybe complacency, maybe a strategy that's becoming obsolete. Often there's denial about these issues among leaders.
So not a crisis yet, but heading for trouble if nothing changes.
Right. So you don't need the radical surgery of a turnaround. Your job is more about piercing that veil of denial, getting people to acknowledge the need for change, building consensus, and gradually pivoting the strategy. If you used aggressive turnaround tactics in a realignment,
You'd create massive resistance unnecessarily. People wouldn't see the need for it.
precisely, you'd break things that didn't need breaking. So diagnosing that STARS situation correctly, figuring out, am I building something new, fixing a crisis, scaling up growth, shifting direction, or keeping a good thing going? That's absolutely fundamental to choosing the right approach.
That makes total sense. Get the diagnosis right before you prescribe the medicine.
Couldn't have said it better. But there's one more crucial layer here. You have to remember that your transition doesn't happen in isolation.
What do you mean?
Well, when you arrive, you change the landscape for everyone around you. Your direct reports, your peers, even your new boss, they're all going through a transition because of you.
Ah, right. Your arrival forces them to adapt too. Which brings us to maybe a final provocative thought for everyone listening. Watkins touches on this idea of accelerate everyone.
Yes. It's the recognition that the faster you help your team get up to speed, clarifying expectations, understanding the new direction, figuring out how they fit in, the faster you will become effective and reach that break-even point.
So it's about applying these same transition principles outwards, thinking about how you structure their first 90 days with you.
Exactly. Use those structured one-on-ones not just to learn from them, but to align them. Set clear priorities together. Help them navigate the changes you represent.
If you accelerate the people around you, you massively accelerate your own success. It's almost like the golden rule of transitions. Treat others' transitions as you'd want yours treated.
That's a great way to frame it. Prepare yourself mentally, accelerate your learning across all domains, correctly diagnose your STARS situation, build your team, secure early wins, and yes, accelerate everyone around you.
Those are the keys. Powerful stuff. Well, hopefully you can take these ideas and apply them right away in your own situation.
Absolutely. Go make that next transition your best one yet.
We'll